Welcome to a video from the digitallifestyle.com. This is a Korg Multi tutorial. So I'm going to be creating a rich dynamic sound using multiple oscillators, multiple LFOs and envelopes to create as a really nice dynamic evolving pad sound that just, a long way from the basic pad sounds that you would get on many analog synths. And using this as a virtual analog, we've got so much we can do it. We can create something really rich and evolving. So let's go start with initialized performance. There we go. We've got an initialized performance on there. So what I'm going to do with this? Well, we've got 4 oscillators. We've got multiple, that's not just on the one layer. We've got multiple different types. We've got the classic analog oscillators, we've got digital, and we've got waveshapers. I've actually done videos of all 3 of these. So if you want to know more about these, then have a look at that. But let's start with, I'm going to start with the classic one on here first. And so let's breathe some life into a simple sawtooth oscillator. So what we can do, there's multiple things we could do with that. We could have a bit of LFO on there, on a basic sawtooth. Usually the kind of thing you would do is get 2 sawtooths and detune them. So let's have a look at that first. Then I'll show you how you can use a single oscillator to do the same effect. Let's go 2 and detune one up, one down, which is what I like to do. So that's it. Straight away we've got that sort of detuned saw wave, and you can get more extreme with it. But on the multi-poly, there is actually a detuned oscillator for you, which gives you that detuned effect, but in a single oscillator, leaving you 3 others available for something else. So there's our detuned one. We can manually select the levels and the detune amount, but what I'm going to do is use an LFO for that. So we'll use our first LFO. We're using the PWM one there. That's the one that's automatically tied to that. Like I've said in earlier videos, you can have these outputs to any of these destinations, but I'm going to do it that way for now. Now it sounds a bit basic, doesn't it, with that envelope? So let's I'm just going to slightly change this envelope to a nice slower attack and release. So if you listen to this one now, you see it's quite detuned. And then if I speed that up, now this is not running in free running, so every time I hit that oscillator, or hit the key, it's going to restart. So I'm going to put it in free running. And I'm going to subtle it down a bit. Right, so there we've got a bit of movement on there already. That's just on that single oscillator. So let's go to another oscillator now. I'm going to choose a pulse width for this one. Do that classic pulse width. And again, I can apply the oscillator. Imagine. So now we've got a sawtooth. So effectively we've got 2 sawtooths and then the pulse width. Now I want this to be a kind of evolving type sound. So I'm going to use different elements. So let's look at the filter now. And I'm going to reduce the filter right down, and we go to the envelopes, and we're going to do a nice filter sweep on there. Now, what we've got loads of different things we can do with these envelopes, and one of the things we can do is we can have a delay. We can have there's a ton of stuff. So let me show you some of that. So let's say we've got a bit of a sweep on here. I'll turn that intensity up. So I'm going to put a bit of... That's okay, that's fine. Still not got a lot of movement on there, but we're just doing the sort of the basic bits now. We've got a nice curve on there. We've got multiple filters we can use as well. So maybe what we could do here is turn those off and let's have a high pass filter. So let's go with a digital type sound. I'm going to use maybe a bit of a vocal type sound. I'm going to switch the filters into parallel mode, turn that filter on, and we should just hear the... There we go, it's the amp envelope that's affecting. Now straight away you can hear there that you can get some nice effects from doing that position, the wave, so changing the position of the wavetable. So let's have a check that out. I need to find one that sweeps through quite nicely, so let's try this one. That sounds quite good. So let's use an envelope for that. Which envelope are we going to use, or we're going to use an LFO? Well, I think probably an LFO for that one for now. So I'm going to do that position. I'm not going to use the same envelope the same LFO that I used earlier on, because that would just be in sync with the others then. I'm going to use this filter B envelope. Let's use that one. We're not using it for anything else. So I'm going to make this modified by filter B. Again, I'm going to have this free running so that it's kind of always running. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to pass it through filter B. I'm going to change filter B to a high pass. So you can hear that sweeping now. So if I bring in the other oscillators now, with no effects or anything yet on. It's all around the same level, so I may space these an octave apart. Let's try that an octave up, and we'll try the pulse width an octave down. So we're already getting something quite interesting on there. Actually, and I've decided I'm going to send that through filter A. Let's try. The reason I sent that through filter A is because I'm saving filter B for a high pass, and I'm going to turn the others off, and we'll use a waveshaper just to be a bit different. We'll use one of the additive ones. Just kind of sound sort of FM-y these. Hey there, I think that one might sound good. Let's just see what it sounds like through the high pass filter. So I'm going to do double duty on this one. I'll turn that gain down. I want the gain to be affected by an LFO, and I'm going to use the filter LFO on that one. No, I'm not. I'll use the built-in one. There we go. The one that we've already used in the other patch. But then this filter, I'm going to be affected by the envelope of filter B. Don't forget we're using a high pass, so we've got to invert it. We want it to be negative intensity. So that's like open now, which is the opposite way on a high pass filter. So let's try have a bit of a slow attack there, go to a peak, and then it'll drop down a bit, then it'll level off. I'm going to loop it as well. So the envelope is actually looping round. You can hear it. Perhaps if I turn off that morphing just to show what it's doing, you can hear it looping there. And I think I'm going to choose a slightly brighter one with more harmonics on. And now I'll apply that LFO. And then what I'm going to do, if I bring these others back in now, and then I'm going to put some effects on this, so I can kind of hear what I'm trying to aim for. So I'm going to go for something quite big, and so I'm going to put a bit of reverb on there as well. So we've got a bit of movement on there now, and yep, we're using a high pass filter. We've got low pass filter. We're not using any of the sync or anything else. One of the trick I do like to do is to make the LFOs speed up and slow down as well. So that PWM one there that we're using on the two oscillators, I'm going to try applying the pitch LFO to that one, because we're not using the pitch LFO at the moment. So I can say I want that modified by its frequency, controlled by the pitch LFO. Put a bit of intensity. So turn that down a bit slower. There, okay, hear that LFO increasing in speed. Maybe a bit too much. So it's not the most subtle patch, is it? But we could dial the filter back a bit. And that's maybe a bit loud. So now we're using what I think we're using virtually all of these oscillators, aren't we now? And we're using just a couple of the envelope. We're not really done much with the pitch envelope yet. So we could change the pitch, but I don't think we'll do that one. We might just put a bit of tune LFO on there, that pitch LFO, which we're using there, is actually quite low, but it might just give us a note. Maybe that's a bit on the intensity is a bit high on that, so we'll turn that down so it doesn't go quite as high as well. I haven't introduced any sort of syncing or sweep on pitch sort of sweeping like that. So let's just save that for now. Okay, so I've saved that and saved that as a layer. I'm just going to switch this layer off for now, and maybe I wanted to do a bit of syncing on here now. So I'm going to use sync mode, 2 sawtooths. Now let's go with pulse wave to be different. Turn the layer on. So what we need to do now, even if we can turn off or turn down oscillator 1. Oscillator 2, we can affect its tuning, and that is probably best with a pitch envelope. So let's go with an envelope and let's sweep that in. Let's bring it back down. So there's our pitch envelope. Just going to get my amp envelope a bit extended. You can hear that cut off there on the fill. You can hear that sloping down, so maybe we would be better to get a nice long slope on that. And here we can choose different style oscillators or envelopes. So we could go with like the MS-20 type one. You can even hold it slightly. We can even delay it slightly, which is really handy for so that if we hold it indefinitely, you're not going to hear it until the envelope kicks in. It's a kind of technique that, but I might use that for something else later. Right, so while we're on this now, I like that. I'm going to go with the MS-20 low pass. So maybe we're going to drive it a bit as well. So let's choose an MS-20 type. So there. So we've got our bit of our lead sound there. And so I'm just going to quickly show you that other envelope idea I had as well. So copy that and paste that. So now I've got 2 envelopes, 2 identical port switches on there. And what I'm going to do is send the other one to filter 2. Let's just turn those off so you can hear that. We need to do the double syncing. Filter up. Maybe I'm going to send this through a mini mode filter just for different. I'm going to sweep through it as well, but I'm going to use filter B's envelope. Filter B's there. So we use an envelope to. So I'm not. Right, let's get a filter right. Okay, now to stop it sounding exactly the same, instead of using the pitch envelope to do that tuning on there, I'm going to use, so I'm going to set that to 0 on this oscillator. I'm going to use filter B's envelope because I'm not using it for everything else. So filter B's envelope. We need a bit of intensity on that one, don't we? I am going to delay that. And you can even copy and paste that on, but delay it. Okay, that's okay. And I'm also going to switch on my stereo filters. I'm going to pan that oscillator left and the other one I'll do right. So let's put these back on. So you can hear that delayed envelope there. Make it a bit subtler. Okay. Whack some effects on that one. Bit of chorus. Let's go a bit different. We'll go to vintage chorus and some crossfade. So we can call that dual sync. Another layer I'm going to add is a bit of a bass layer, I think. So I'm going to use a detuned saw for this one. I'm going to have two detuned. I'm going to turn on the stereo. Just put it through mode. So let's use the SEM one. We need some envelope for that one. I think that'll sound good. Okay, so we've got a nice bass there as well. So what we could do now is we could combine all these layers, but it would obviously be too much to have them all at the same time. So I'm going to split the keyboard up, I think, and have that bass part only down at the bottom. The pad sound I shall leave perhaps on the bottom side too. Maybe like that, and let's just see. Now the sync sound maybe doesn't fit quite with my combinations there, so let's have the bass, the pad all the way through, and the bass. Let's go back to my bass. We're going to have a harsher attack on that. I'm going to make it actually more like a Taurus sort of bass pedal. So if I just play with that envelope. That's what I want. So if I combine that with the pad. So now, so maybe that sync sound would sound good if I had that just playing in mono. So let's stick that into mono mode. It is a bit extreme, isn't it? Maybe that would be better on another patch. I'll leave this one off for now. I was just thinking one more thing I can kind of hear in my head is a bit of sort of a vocal type sound. So I'm going to use a digital wave shape and get a nice vocal one on there. There we go. This is going to come in quite slow actually, but what I'm going to use is a high pass filter for this one. And again, I'm going to use a reverse envelope on that. A bit of detune on there. And maybe even an octave. I'm going to bring the octave lower one onto filter B. Put it into parallel mode. I'm going to use some LFO for that one. You could tempo sync it, but I'm not going to do it lower. Yeah, I quite like that. That's the filter kind of effect I want, the high pass. Try phasing on that. Phasing, you lose the vocal sound, don't you? I don't think I need that one. That's more like that. So let's bring it all in now without the sync, I think, for now. Okay, that's kind of what I wanted to do. We have got that other layer, and we're not using motion sequencer, so I can't really help it. I'm gonna have to try and see how I can utilize this layer. So I think what I'm going to do with that one is bring the keyboard back up for this layer. Actually, it would sound good with the split, wouldn't it? Really, with that as the lead sound. That'd be one way to utilize it. I was wondering whether I could sort of, if it was a high up. So let's try something like that just to finish this off. So I've got a motion sequencer. I'm going to do is record some pitch. I'm going to get it quite high. What is it? So I've got, I think it picked up my bum notes there. That's pretty good. But the envelope's not re-triggering there, particularly the filter envelope. So we can re-trigger that. I'm going to re-trigger it from sequence lane A, I think. So I can. And maybe I don't want it to be re-triggered. In fact, what we could even do is if I put that on there, hear it pulse in there. So we're not hearing that pulse width effect now because I left it treasure. But I do quite like it as that. So maybe I'll save that separately and I'll create that pulse width. So now if I try it, and it's sounding a bit out of tune, and I think it's probably those notes. As fun as it sounded, when you start playing chords like that, you start to lose it a bit. So I am going to just make them in tune just for the notes that he's playing. You can hear that 14 there, can't you? I could tune it to fit a key, say D minor, and do it that way, but I will leave it that way. And let's make this low priority. So it's probably over the top for where I said about a pad sound, but it is a sonic evolving texture, and I do quite like that one. So I'm going to save that one. I'll make that one available as a free download from initialized.com, so you can give it a try. If you've got any suggestions for these tutorials, please let me know. I really enjoy doing these. So if there's something you'd like me to highlight, or as an element of this maybe that I glossed over and you'd like more detail, let me know. I could do a 5-minute one if you think there's a shorter version to talk about as well. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.